Hi guys, I'm Braden Anderson. I'm the venue manager at Criterion Hotel in Sale, and I'm also the assistant senior coach at Sale Football Netball Club.
And I'm Dobin. I'm the retail coordinator for Lifeline Gippsland. I'm also the president of Narnagoon Junior Football Club.
Now, obviously it's been a hugely challenging year for Gippsland, worst fires in record, and then straight into COVID. So in terms of our opportunities to come together and debrief on that trauma, it's been a particularly challenging year. I run a podcast called Blokes Talk, and I got the interview template as an idea from a session that Richmond Football Club run at the start of their recent premiership dynasty called 3Hs. So they go through and talk about a hardship for them, a highlight for them, and a hero for them each individually as a chance to be a bit guard down and build that camaraderie. So I thought take the chance with Rob, someone who I feel like I've got a lot in common with, but I've also just met, for us to work through that format and show you how you might commence a guard down conversation with a man either in your life or someone you've just met, to delve a bit deeper and allow them an opportunity to share what they've been through. So happy with, we may as well dive into that. So let's go off the deep end, mate. Let's go with hardship. Tell me about a hardship that you've been through.
I think probably there's a couple of different things as you go through life. I think as you sort of grow up, different things you sort of judge as a hardship. But I think probably the biggest hardship I had I guess one point in my life was probably that got overwhelmed at one point with work, with home life, kids, and probably got to a point where I was just like, what am I doing? Worked a lot of pressure in the job that I was in at the time, a lot of commitment to the hours, which sort of started making me feel I didn't have the time to commit to the family, and started, I guess, sort of getting, trying to find my place, like what do I do here? So I went through a pretty tough time through that period, I guess you're trying to please a lot of different people, because you're wearing a whole heap of different hats. So it wasn't sort of like a personal tragedy to me, but it was probably the hardest time of my life where I was trying to figure out, I guess, who I was in my career, but who I was to my family as well. And I think I got to a point where, I probably didn't want to talk about it a lot. Like I was trying to hide it from work, that I was sort of struggling a little bit with the pressure of the role, and then trying to sort of hide it a little bit from the family as well, that the role that I was doing that was supporting the family was putting a lot of pressure on me in other areas. But I got to a point where I just had to talk, and I had to tell my boss at work that I was sort of struggling with the role, and then I had to sort of sit down and speak to my partner, my wife as well, and just sort of say what I was struggling with. And once I got it off my chest and had those open conversations, everything was fine. So probably the tough, a hardship in my life.
It's definitely a challenge as well, particularly I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, but letting your family and you feel like you have to, as the male, as the husband, as the dad, you feel like you have to carry all that load, and it's almost a bit weak to let them know that you're under that weight. But how was that received once you did bite the bullet?
There's no issue at all. I think once you get it off your chest, and once you talk to the people that are around you and that are there to support you, that's what they do. So there's no issue. It's sort of like, well, what can we do? Like, what do we do from here? We can't keep going on like this. You can't keep feeling like this. So how do we fix this sort of problem for you? So yeah, so it was great. It was great you sort of got it off your chest, and then you have those conversations, and then things start happening. I think sometimes you feel like nothing's going to change, I can't do different things. But once you talk to people and open up about it, then you see there's sort of opportunity and things can change, and it's going to be okay.
It's crazy when I get in those situations where I feel incredibly overwhelmed. If you take control of yourself or take a bit of positive action like you have, and embracing, bringing your work into what's happening and bringing your family into what's happening, all the noise seems to stop a little bit. Like everything else can calm down quite quickly once you control the you aspects of it, and suddenly it's not so daunting, is what I've found anyway. Probably true to what you've said there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool, man.
So why don't you talk to me about one of your heroes?
All right, so be a hero. My mum, it's probably a fairly generic answer, but my mum growing up ran a cafe from when I was about 2 until when I was probably 22, and just worked her butt off run it 6.5 days a week to put me and my two sisters through a reasonable school for the area, and we weren't spoilt, but we had everything available to us that we needed, that's for sure, to experience life and whatnot. And she wasn't necessarily the emotional support you might associate a mum with being, but she I guess showed us that through hard work, and we've always been close, although very different personalities since, and that even more so in my teens. My mum got cancer a couple of times in the end, got breast cancer and was pretty clear, and then got it back, and my dad left around the same stage, so I got to spend I stepped up as best I could at the time to support her through that and take her to chemo and stuff and skip school to do so, but we've always been super close, even if we can't necessarily communicate on an emotional level. She's my hero for what she did for me and my sisters growing up, I guess.
Yeah.
How about
fantastic.
you?
My hero, so I think I probably had different heroes at different times, I think, of your life. I think I probably realised as I got older and as I had kids that how awesome my parents were. I don't know if you realise that at the time.
Makes a difference.
When you're growing up, yeah, and you sort of see all the things that and all the sacrifices that they made for you. But when you're growing up, you'd sort of take it for granted that that's sort of how it is. I've also had some awesome teachers at school that sort of guided me in the right direction when, there's possibility that you could, go off the rails at some point or go the wrong path.
Yeah.
Great people sort of guiding you, in the right way. And I think I've worked with some exceptional people and some, some really strong leaders. I've worked with a guy called Govriagis for a long time, who sort of mentored me as I was going through my career. But also, I guess they guide you not only in an employment aspect and a career aspect, but also he's got a family. He's been through things that I'm going through as I was sort of moving, through my career. So personally, he could sort of guide me in the right direction as well. And I still speak to him, probably 2 or 3 times a week, have a chat to him about advice and life and all those sort of things. So he's been a great sort of, a hero and a mentor to me growing up.
I think that's huge as well. For me, particularly losing my father 5 or 6 years ago, those male role models, whether it's through sporting clubs or through work, I really seem to crave as those father figures, and having someone like that take you under their wing just is fairly impactful, I guess, as a male. So moving on to, I guess, something a bit more positive. What's something you'd identify as a highlight for you?
Oh, it's funny because I think I sort of feel like I've been pretty lucky through my life. Like I've always sort of enjoyed what I've done. I guess highlights, to sort of pinpoint stuff I find sort of pretty difficult. Like I think I've sort of loved what I've done as I've grown up. I think probably like a highlight for me is just being able to, continually sort of go through my life, go from your teens to your 20s to your 30s, come up to the 40s, but just being able to be surrounded by like really good people, really supportive people, but also be able to, work in roles going through your career that you just enjoy, right? And you sort of get to pick and choose some of the things that you do, get involved in things like football clubs and sporting clubs. But I think a highlight for me is just being able to be surrounded by really good people that help me make, really good decisions and show me, how you can sort of really sort of go through life and sort of do the stuff that you love to be able to do. And I think that's what I try to focus on, is sort of enjoying, my job, enjoying my time at home, enjoying anything I'm volunteering in. I think that's just been through, sort of being surrounded by a really good bunch of people.
Love it.
What about yourself?
Love it. Well, probably a bit spoiled in that I feel like I'm living it a little bit at the moment this year, professionally with my job at the Cry and also with my coaching role at Sale. They were both things I didn't chase. I got asked about both on the back of work I've done over the last couple of years, I guess. So that was a really lovely feeling to know that I was kind of on the right track there and be appreciated and be getting to, both professionally and recreationally living my dream in those spaces. So it's been really rewarding. So I reckon we'll wrap it up there, mate. But again, just a quick example of how you can spark up a conversation with a male that's relatively new to your life or someone you know well. Again, 3 H's. So a hardship, a hero, and a highlight. It's a great chat to have.